guys, welcome to a new video on Sono's Life Now. As you can tell, this is the second part of my introduction to New Japan. So if you wonder why I'm wearing the same clothes, because I filmed them both on the same day, just so I can continue the flow of it. Although I had to split it because it seems like the divisions took a lot longer than I expected. So in the past video, which you can watch on my channel, I looked at the history of New Japan and the very detailed and different divisions within the company. This time we get on to something a bit more exciting, and that is the factions. Now, factions are the core of New Japan. They are like little families within the company, and they set the basis for feuds, the tag matches, and just the whole lot. Now, in recent years, and we can blame Jay White for this, there's been a lot more vague lines between some of the factions, which I'll chat about. But at the end of the day, they are still very much their own entities. The first faction, and I guess I'm going to start with them because they are the epitome of babyfaces. It is Hontai, or the home unit. Now, this is the majority of the roster. It contains the young lions, some of the veterans, and I guess their real identity is that they are just responsible for helping to bring up the new talent. They are the baby faces you will always root for. Now, in the main Hontai faction, because like I'm going to mention, there's a lot of sub-units within it, especially recently, we have guys like Hiroshi Tanahashi, Taguchi, Master Wato, Kushida, Kevin Knight. Like I said, all of the young lions are part of it. And now within the Hontai, which at one point was known for basically just being like where you started as a New Japan guy, and then you normally betray them and go to like a different faction. It has become stronger because we have these subunits now who have joined Hontai, keeping their own identity, but really intertwining themselves into the company. I also forgot Shota Umino is part of Hontai. The first one who has always been there, that is GBH, so Great Bash Heel, which is Tomoaki Honma and Togi Makabe. They used to be part of, well, Great Bash Heel used to be a very big heel faction with guys like Shinsuke Nakamura, Yano, who I'll talk about a bit later because they then became Chaos. But GBH kept the identity of the two of them and moved into Hontai. We then have the newest two sets of subunits. So Strong Style, which is the most bizarre. So Strong Style, currently 3 men. Ren Narita, so former young lion, who has stayed in Hontai but with his own little twist on it. And former Suzuki-gun members, Minoru Suzuki and El Desperado. Now, Suzuki-gun disbanded at the end of 2022. But like a little background, they used to be one of the big heel factions. Minoru Suzuki headed up as Murder Granddad, and Despi was one of his murder kids. Now, what was the most shocking to fans was that Suzuki has always had a hatred for the Hontai faction. For him, he thinks they're useless, especially the New Japan Granddads, who I'll talk about just a little bit later. So the fact that they are now working in harmony with Hontai is bizarre, but it also adds a bit of added grit and badass behaviour to the faction. Similarly, we now have Gorillas of Destiny. So that is Tamatonga, Tangaloa, Hikaleo, ELP, and Jado. They obviously were part of Bullet Club, got kicked out one at a time, or in Hikaleo and Tangaloa's case, stuck beside their brother. They have now really cemented themselves as guys who really want to keep New Japan on its feet, especially Tamatonga, who grew up in the system of New Japan Dojo. He is now really hoping to push Hontai as one of those factions you want to stay in, rather than, I guess, the train stop on the way to your end goal in New Japan. And then we have the New Japan Granddads. So that's not their official name, which I can't remember. So that is Yuji Nagata, Satoshi Kojima. They used to be Manabu Nakanishi. And why do I feel like I'm missing one? Oh, and then Hiroyoshi Tenzan. So they are guys who have been in New Japan for decades. And while they might be getting on a bit, they are still very much mainstays. I guess you could even count Tiger Mask in that. They are still wrestling, especially for the case of Satoshi Kojima, who is still winning championships in big companies. They are still wanting to go and wanting to wrestle at a top level, and they are just consistently great. Now, in the past, Hontai was a joke. I've said this. They were just the friendly grandparents who like would always take you in. But now with the fresh talent coming to Hontai and staying there, really strong. Now, I mentioned the blurred lines within the factions because of JY. The main one comes with Hontai and Chaos. So Chaos was created by Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, like I said, he was part of Great Brass Heel. And so he basically betrayed them and created Chaos, which started as a heel faction. I know it's hard to think, isn't it? They had some of the most dastardly guys in the faction, but slowly they became loved by fans. And so there was a slow and very natural move to babyface, especially after Shinsuke Nakamura left, and it got taken over by Kazuchika Okada. Now, there are some top guys in this faction. We have Kazuchika Okada, Tomohiro Ishii, Toru Yano, Hiroki Goto, Yoshihashi, Yo. However, the problem has been Chaos's inability to keep members. Back when I started in 2018 watching New Japan, they were my favourite faction because along with these guys, you had Jay White, Will Ospreay, Sho. However, it seems like Chaos, created on betrayal, is now probably had the most betrayals in any like faction possible. People have said they need to disband, there's no cohesion, especially since, and we can see this when I spoke about the Never titles being held by Chaos's Ishii and Okada and Hontai's Tanahashi, that it should just go. It should just get all blended together. But I think Chaos still has their own identity, and really maybe a few changes are needed for Chaos to be one of the top factions again. We then have Los Ingobernables de Japón. Now this is headed up by Tetsuya Naito and was created 2015, 16, 17, one of those years. I probably should have checked. Now they are a much tight-knit faction. It's very hard to get in and not many people have left. Not to say that has not happened. Now the current faction is Tetsuya Naito, Bushi, Hiromu, Shingo Takagi, Tsuji, Titan, I think that's it. And Los Ingobernables de Japón is a stem of CMLL, so the Mexican company's Los Ingobernables faction, which was created by Rush. Now, after Naito finished his excursion and became a mainstay in New Japan, he won the title. But no one cared. No one wanted babyface Naito. So he went to CMLL, reinvented himself as the ungovernable one, and came back and created a faction of, I won't say dastardly heels, but people who just want to break the system. Now, again, similarly to other factions, they started off as heels. That's what they were meant to be, the parejas. But they are now tweeners. Now, tweeners is an odd term and not something you really see in Western wrestling companies. So you have the typical babyface and heel. Babyface are the good guys, heel the bad guys. There are quite a few factions, I'll speak about them, who are tweeners. And that means that, yes, while crowds love them, and it's a natural love that has made them tweeners, they are not afraid to break the rules. And this is exactly what Los Ingobernables de Japón is. They are, along with the next faction I'll speak about, probably the most popular faction with some of the most loved wrestlers. And they are basically charisma personified. The next faction, again, who started as heels and very naturally made the move to tweeners because they are still able to cheat, but are, again, loved by crowds. There's so much merch across the stadiums, is the Empire. Created by Will Ospreay a few years ago after he betrayed Chaos. There you'll see the trend. They basically have, while it is based, I guess, on Gaikokujins, they have such a wide variety of wrestlers. We have Will Ospreay, who, although he's an AW, said he wants to keep the banner going. Aussie Open, Great-O-Khan, Jeff Cobb, Hanare, TJP, Callum Newman, and Francesco Akira. Some of the best wrestlers you can get. They have so much diversity. They have their hands in every single division. They've had champions. They've had amazing 5-star matches. And what makes the Empire so good is that they accepted that they weren't going to be heels. While they started as a heel faction, the love of the crowds made them embrace the Japanese crowds as their family. I think in one match, Ospreay said that he wasn't being seconded by anyone because the rest of the members had matches, but he said he was being seconded by the crowd. And while they are a slightly bigger faction, they still have that tight-knit bond that LIJ has. They go out drinking, they are just very firm friends. And I guess we're going from that. Another really tight-knit and another really new faction is Just 5 Guys. They were created at the start of the year after Suzuki-gun disbanded. They started as Just 4 Guys, and this was basically former Suzuki-gun members. So it was Taka Michinoku, Taichi, Kanemaru and Doki. We then had, it's complicated, so then we had another 5 guys. So Sanada betrayed, well, he didn't betray, he kindly left LIJ and joined them for Just 5 Guys. Then Yoshinobu Kanemaru left, so they were Just 4 Guys. And then Yuya Uemura came back, so it's Just 5 Guys. They're another crowd favourites. It's very small, literally 5 of them, very tight knit. They have juniors, they have heavyweights, they have a tag team, a really nice mix of talent. And then you've got TMDK, who have been around for years. I knew TMDK when they were in WWE, so just Shane Haste and Mikey Nichols. But now and I think they are mainly predominantly started in Australia, but they have now become a firm faction in New Japan. So the frontman is the best person in the world, Zack Sabre Jr. You have TMDK, so Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste in the heavyweight tag, Robbie Eagles and Fujita in the junior. And then they also have other guys from, like, we've got like Jonah and Bad Guy Tito. Another really charismatic and tight-knit faction. And again, really loved by crowds. And I love them. I think they're all so different but blend together well. And while we've got the greatness of all these factions, we then have the Bullet Club. I've done plenty of videos on my channel that you can check out about the history of Bullet Club. But at the moment, we have a very big faction. So we're not even going to count AEW's Bang Bang Gang, so the Bullet Club Gold. So we have the main Bullet Club faction headed by David Finlay. So that is Finlay, Gato, the War Dogs, so Coughlin, Gabriel Kidd, I guess Taiji Shimori, Clark Connors and Dan Maloney. I'm probably going to miss people. We then got the Rogue Army, so that is Farley's faction. And then everyone's most hated faction, the House of Torches. So Evil, Yujiro Takahashi Sho, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. They are the basis of everything that goes on in the company. And it's really nice to have a sense of family within it because you see the relationships grow. So while Chaos might not seem like the strongest, you watch their talk shows, they're hilarious. Look at social media, you see the guys out drinking. It's just really nice and it really creates a different atmosphere. So a lot of Japanese promotions have factions, like Noah has them, DDT has them, but this for me is the ones that stick the most. Again, I've been talking about factions for so long, but I've done a factions ranked video which you can watch on my channel, and that'll give you a bit more into like the current status of everything. Now we're going to go on to the schedule. Now, unlike other companies that you might know, like WWE and AEW, New Japan does not work on a weekly basis. It works on a tour basis. So throughout the year, you have groups of shows, then break, groups of shows. So I'm going to quickly go through the ones I can remember. So we have the New Beginnings tour, Fantastica Mania, which is linked with CMLL. I'm not going to count the tournaments. So then you've got the Dontaku tour, the I can't remember, but it works in tour groups. And basically these will be a group of shows. So you have Road 2 shows where you have matches, which normally are building up to one single show to top it off. And these will have the big title matches and the big storylines coming to a conclusion. You then have tournaments throughout the year. These will lead to title shots, and you start with the New Japan Cup, which gives you a shot at the heavyweight title. There is normally in March. Then around May time, you have the Best of Super Junior. So that is battling for a chance to have a go at the IWGP Junior title. Then in August, around that time, you have the G1, which is, I guess, the biggest tournament of the year. and that is a shot to main event Wrestle Kingdom. So you have a briefcase, and that is your chance there. October, you have Super Junior Tag League, which is a shot at Wrestle Kingdom for the junior tag titles, and then World Tag League, which were happening right now in November and December, for a shot at the IWGP tag titles at Wrestle Kingdom. Now, Wrestle Kingdom. So Wrestle Kingdom is like the WrestleMania for New Japan. It is always on January the 4th, unless they decide to do 2 days, like they have done. It is the biggest show of the year, held at the Tokyo Dome. All titles are on the line. There are big special singles matches. You have a massive stadium full of people, and people worldwide watch it. It's my busiest time of the year, but my favourite. And this is sort of the reason why I did this video, because going into it, stuff like knowing the divisions, the titles, the factions will be very useful. However, there are also other big shows during the year. So I guess the second biggest show is Dominion, and this happens normally after the Best of Super Junior. And again, the titles will be on the line. You will have storylines finish, new storylines start, feuds begin. Throughout the year, you have other stuff. So you have, like, I think they used to have King of Pro Wrestling, but now I think they do like Sakura Genesis. That's in April after the New Japan Cup. There's normally a big one in October. But Somo, all these shows, how do you watch it? New Japan has their own streaming site, New Japan World, and an app. I'm not going to talk about my grievances about the new app, because that is something that they will continue to keep changing. But basically on New Japan World, you can find everything you need. And there are different types of shows. So there are live shows, and that is the majority of them. While not all of them will have English commentary, you can always find the phenomenal Japanese commentary team doing live streams of it. And normally later there will be a delayed English one. There are some shows which are VOD only, which some of the smaller shows, which means that they will post the shows later on. And then you have pay-per-views, which, like anything else, you buy them. Now, this is much rarer in New Japan. None of the big Japanese shows are really pay-per-view. These normally come with like the collaborations with other companies, and a lot of the US shows who are streamed through Fight TV for a really good price. So I'm trying to think, I think they've upped it to about over 1,000 yen now. You have access to so much. And while it might not be the best app now, it is one of the easiest to work with. In the past, I have used streaming sites, so the ODDT site, where it was very hard, especially for international fans, to navigate. New Japan World has such a big archive and a very easy way to search it. Now, at the moment, it's the new app, so they still got some bugs. Not all the old stuff is back, the apps are not working. But once they fixed it all, it really is one of the easiest ways to watch. Everything is in one place. And then you also have New Japan 1972, where they have really good interviews, articles, previews. Or you can just watch previews and reviews from this channel. But also schedules for all the shows and the results. New Japan has made it so easy for international fans to watch. And I think that's how the steady growth of the company has happened. I have cut so many wrestling companies out due to just lack of time and needing some time for myself. However, New Japan is the one company that I will watch religiously. You might have your concerns about the booking or whether New Japan will continue to thrive. But at this moment, I think it is at its strongest. We are in a transitional period where they are sort of having the top stars take their baton and pass it on to the new guys. Yes, you'll still see your favourites, Okada, Tanahashi, Naito, Zack Sabre Jr., Ishii, Shingo, all headlining these shows, all giving you some of the best matches you'll watch. But you've got the new dojo guys who are making their debut. The ones who have just returned from excursions, so the Three Musketeers, Three Reiwa Musketeers, and the people from other companies who want to come and wrestle in one of the best promotions in the world. Now, that was just a quick whistle-stop tour of New Japan Pro Wrestling. From the history, the divisions, how to watch it, the factions. It's a lot to take in, and I've probably missed out a lot. So if you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments and I will answer them. Follow me at wrestling_chat, because most of the time, if I'm not working, I will be live tweeting along with shows. You can ask me questions there, especially during Wrestle Kingdom. I'll be watching live, New Year's Dash. And if you like my videos, hit like, share with your friends, and just hit subscribe, because, and I quite happily take this, I'm probably one of the only YouTube channels whose content is entirely New Japan based. I will look at every tour, I will review shows, preview tournaments, I will do just general videos about the company. And so if you want to get into New Japan or you love it, make sure to hit subscribe so you can watch all my content. So yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the last 2 videos, and hopefully ahead of Wrestle Kingdom they help you. So yeah, that is my guide to New Japan or introduction, and hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you soon. Bye!